Yeah, so my job really is to set up the amazing work that these teams did by telling you a little bit about how the sites were selected and how the teams were selected and put together. So as a reminder, the overarching goals for this project, for this part of the project, were to come up with some 50% designs for sites around Great Bay in the region that you see on the map in front of you. We wanted to identify 4 potential sites for new living shoreline projects, and we wanted to give professionals some practical experience in trying to design for these specific places in Great Bay and share those recommendations with landowners, with agencies, and really do a lot of shared learning around the process. So that was the goal for the overarching project. So in order to do this, we had to do 2 things. We had to find the places and we had to find the people to implement our vision for the project. So we've touched on this in a few times so far this morning. In selecting the sites, the project team decided that we wanted to make sure that we had a diverse group of projects. Diverse in ownership types, some are private and some are public. Diverse in landowner goals. Is it an erosion control? Is it to promote a certain type of habitat? Is it to protect public access? And also site constraints and ecological conditions, which are going to vary, at every living shoreline project anybody ever does. And we felt that as a project, if we picked a couple of sites that were really different, we could learn more about more places and more types of potential future scenarios that might come up for all of us in the future. And one of the ways that we started doing this is by looking at the living shoreline site suitability model that Kevin mentioned in his presentation. So this was completed by DES a few years ago, and it basically gave each little section of New Hampshire's coastline a score on how suitable it might be for a living shoreline. And that was done through a 2-year process using a whole bunch of different data, deciding what the metrics should be, doing a weighted approach to scoring each particular parcel. This is available through DES, and this was what we used as a team to start our filtering process. This was designed to be a screening tool, so it was great for those of us that helped develop it to actually use it as a screening tool and see how it worked. So that was the first step. The second step was then to take what popped out as potential suitable sites and go check them out in the field and start doing interviews with landowners to see if they could be potential places. So after the first phase, there were 12 potential sites. And then after those field visits and interviews, it was narrowed down into 4 sites around Great Bay. So these are the 4 sites that we'll be hearing presentations on throughout the rest of the morning. And so if you go from the north, the first site is Spur Road up here, which is a private landowner on the Bellamy River, right? And then we have Shanda Park, which is right in downtown Newmarket. So that's municipal owned and has multiple uses. Then we have a condo association that owns Moody Point. And so they were the landowner. So that's a little interesting because it's private, but it's a group of private people. And then we have Chapman's Landing, which is owned by New Hampshire Fish and Game and is a boat launch and next to a very important and sensitive salt marsh habitat. So as you can see, they're really different when you look at them. You've got your condo association, private home, the boat launch, and a lot going on here in downtown Newmarket. And that was important for our project goals. So once we had the places, we had to find the people. And we recruited 24 professionals, and the project team was really intentional about getting a mix of different expertise. So we have the organizations listed on this slide, and you'll be hearing from all the individuals this morning, but they represent a mix of engineers, landscape designers, wetland scientists, and project and program managers. And the most important thing about everybody is that they wanted to learn more about living shorelines and thought that they could apply this in their future work. So once we had these 24 people, we put them into 4 groups, mixed them all up across organizations, and put them into 4 groups and assigned them one of the sites. And so throughout the project, they had a facilitator that was a part of the project team to help them achieve what the common deliverables were for all 4 teams. So all 4 teams had to have a design, and a justification memo, and some backup materials that go along with that. And all of those will be posted to our website eventually, and so people can have access to them and see the amazing work that the teams did. I just want to give everybody credit who was a part of these teams, because it was a lot of work. There were a lot of meetings at night, there were site visits. So, and there were also workshops. So one of the things we did as a group is we invited everybody together. This is the third of workshop that we've had with our design professionals. And along the way, we were all doing a lot of joint learning and exploring both the sites and the concepts behind living shorelines and the permitting constraints. And then in addition to the workshops and the learning opportunities, we also had each site conduct site-specific field work. So that was different for each place, but it could look at water level, erosion rates, any site constraint, vegetation that was existing, anything that could help them in their design process. So I just want to, this is a slide that just shows a couple of the different parameters that they may have looked at in order to make sure that their designs were at least on the road to being feasible. And a key portion of each team's work was really making sure that what they were designing was specific to the landowner goals, and that could be reflected in the final products, the design drawings, the memo, and a plant material list, and soils and rocks. As a final reminder, the point of this project and the title of the project in the grant was really to create a living shoreline pipeline in Great Bay. And that really means two different things to our team. One is to really take a specific look at places. So we selected these 4 places and got a head start at thinking about what type of designs might be feasible there. But I think the more important pipeline is really the community that we're building throughout this project, and really kind of making sure that we have a strong network of people who are ready to work on this topic in the area. And that isn't just the design teams, it's also all the support that they've gotten from the towns that they've worked with the landowners, with all the agency people who are not on the project team, but helped us think through the permitting applications or the implications of a boat launch. So I just really want to extend a huge thank you to a pretty extended community of people who have become invested in promoting living shorelines in Great Bay. And so with that, I'd just like to turn it over to the design team so that we can start hearing about their great work. Yeah.